All right, so the introductory section to your paper is a broad statement of the issue and problem and very briefly kind of an overview of what research you've done. This is not a literature review section. You shouldn't talk in depth about what has been done. What you're doing is kind of pulling us in the loop on what you think is the problem. It should be a broad statement of the issue because we're going to get into more detail as we look at the literature review, but it shouldn't be too broad. Again, if I see a line that's like, people have been going to school since the Dark Ages, that's completely useless information. Start focused on the actual particular issue, but you should be explaining and kind of pulling us in, catching us up on why this is an issue that we should care about. You know why you care about it, but why should we? Um, so here you're, again, kind of broadly outlining what's the issue you're looking at, why is it an issue in society, and then you want to state briefly kind of what you did and are going to do to address this issue. Um, Again, a very kind of brief overview of your research. Obviously, you're going to be much more detailed in your methods discussion. Most of you have some version of this, but you may need to revise it based on what you've actually done and how your project has changed. Keep in mind these have been evolving projects over a couple of semesters. The next section in the Lit Review is a summary of research on your topic. So what you want to do is have the various articles you read, you want to kind of boil them down for us. You need to have a pretty succinct discussion and emphasize research and the findings. And these should be your guide to kind of organizing these articles together, right? So there's a couple different articles in one person's research project that look at how we measure sense of belonging of students. A couple others that look at on versus off-campus living, and one that adds a racial element to it. So there could be a paragraph or so of the discussion of on versus off-campus living and student belonging, and that's one kind of subsection. You know the themes, hopefully. You've hopefully read these articles at this point. If you haven't and you don't know what's in them, I can't help you on that. But you should be the one who organizes these because you should be the expert in your little subject area here. Again, you want to emphasize the key findings because the findings are the most important part of a paper. What did they find about the world? You do want to discuss their methods, but saying they did a survey of 1,500 people on college campuses, that's just one sentence that describes a whole research project, and that's probably enough. Then you really want to emphasize their findings, like get into the details a bit more here. They found that students who lived off campus had a 1% drop in sense of belonging, but this wasn't the same for Asian American students, whatever it is. That's where you want to be in a bit more detail. And again, this should be kind of clearly organized. They should follow a theme. I don't just want to like go from living on campus to I don't know, something completely different. I'm talking about, I don't know, student sense of well-being. You should have a clear organization to the themes and topics here, and it's going to be you who decides that. But if we can't follow what's going on, if it's constantly jumping around, it's not going to be very good. I really suggest you go back to your articles and look at how they do this. This is an important part of the process, and everything should be APA style. If you don't know APA style, the OWL Purdue website is good for that. But you need to be very careful to cite properly if you use anyone else's words, and make sure you're putting in like page numbers. A lot of students just don't put in the page number it came from, which is not good. So cite properly, APA, organize the research, and here again, this should be relevant to what you're doing. If there is a study out there that you read that really isn't relevant, don't include it. Boil it down, which means boiling some stuff off.